Hi guys, Artiar here. So for this video is about Tai or Chu Yao's skill kit showcase. So let's take a look at his model first. Okay, so this is his in-game model. It's pretty nice, like the 3D, everything here is very similar back to the art style that he have. I really like the middle part here. You can see from the middle side, it is empty because you can see the balls design there. And everything else in him is just very nice. Okay, so he's a flow type Esper, and he's a fighter. But personally, I think he's a support more than a fighter, and then he have a universal speed leader of 25%, which makes him already very good. Then he have a definite, which is a very unique skill effect, which is damage taken in combat is permanently reduced 20%. So this effect here can be applied in PvE and PvP as well. But there's a weird part is that why do he need attack stats? Because he don't really need attack stats at all. Nothing here skills with attack. See, nothing else. All damage here is from HP percentage. Like, I don't get it why does he need attack at all. But maybe the attack here is to apply for him if he want to play the playstyle of putting the Spirit Aegis on himself, right? But let's take a look at his Rebel Rune as well. This is his Rebel Rune. It's going for Wind set and a very rare light set in Rebel Rune, because usually you won't see light set in Rebel Rune other than like Bonnie or Tolan. Mostly you don't really see light set at any kind of Rebel Rune. So, and his speed is 280, which is pretty fast. Decent crit damage. He doesn't need crit rate, so you can see there's 10% crit rate only, and a very high HP because his damage is skill based on HP. Okay, S1. Very straightforward. Attack one enemy 2 times, damage per hit is 1% max HP up to 4% if you max him out. And then after casting S1, you call in the ally who has Spirit Aegis to perform an assist attack. So this Spirit Aegis here it will apply to the highest attack. So this is the passive. It will grant the Spirit Aegis to the ally with the highest attack at the start of combat. So this Spirit Aegis here actually including himself, cause when in live stream testing, we accidentally apply this Spirit Aegis on himself, which means he can actually make himself cast S1, then S1 into it again. So it might be something interesting for the team build, but we have no idea if we should actually do that for now. But let's say if you put Embla, and Embla is the highest attack in your team, then this Spirit Aegis will apply on Embla. Then Chu Yao's ability will not miss, which means he will guarantee critical hit, he'll guarantee apply everything that he have, and he'll guarantee a critical hit if the accuracy is equal or higher than the target. So let's say if you make him accuracy 100%, then he will always in a crit, because equal also counts. Then, if you went to Ascension here, his S1 will apply Seer and defend down for 2 turns as well. This is not an RNG thing, but it will also get resist. But what I mean it doesn't RNG is like it doesn't have a chance to actually proc it. So it's every time you S1 is a kind of guaranteed chance to inflict Seer and defend down, which is a very strong debuff to have 2 debuff at 1 kit here. Okay, then what is Spirit Aegis? So Spirit Aegis reduce the chance of taking critical hit by 100%. So let's say you apply this buff on Embla, your Embla will not get critical at all. Your Embla will be a very safe survivability because the enemy cannot crit. Then each time after the carrier takes a hit, dispel 1 debuff from the carrier and Chu Yao. So if I apply this Spirit Aegis on Embla and Embla takes the hit, Embla will dispel 1 debuff from her and dispel 1 debuff from Chu Yao as well, and then increase the Chu Yao's AP by 50%. So he will self AP push if the one who has Spirit Aegis got damage. Then if after the one who Embla got the Spirit Aegis, right, if Embla took the action, Chu Yao will deal AoE damage everyone by 2 hits, 3% of his max HP, so it's a total of 6% of his max HP. Then not just that, it will extend the target's debuff duration by 1 turn, and every debuff on the target has final damage plus 20%. So this thing, the final damage here only applies to this AoE damage after the one who have Spirit Aegis does the damage. So, for example, I cast S1, and then the one who have Spirit Aegis did an action, then he will follow up with an AoE damage that can extend debuff and increase the final damage by 20%, depends on the target's debuff. So if I have one debuff, then this one is 20%. If they have 3 debuff, then it's going to be 60%, which is very strong. But this thing, S2 here have a 2-turn cooldown of 2 turns, so it's not always AoE. Every time you have to wait for 2 turns, then your AoE is back. Then for S3, dispel 3 buff is very specific. It's 3 buff from the each enemy, and then you inflict Seer and Defend Down and Calamity. So Calamity is a unique Silver Rim debuff from him, and Calamity doesn't work on bosses, so you cannot abuse this Calamity debuff on boss, but it will affect to all non-bosses unit and PvP content as well. Then you attack all enemy 3 times, and each hit is up to 2% max HP attack. Then for Calamity is every 1 debuff the carrier have, your final ability damage taken is increased by 10%. Maximum is 50%. So let's say you apply 5 kind of different debuff on them, then technically it's going to be another damage taken by 50%, and you have a Seal as well. So it's kinda like a total of 75% damage taken, but the calculation is a bit different because this is considered as a final ability damage taken, which means after Seer, then only consider this 50%. Not just that, this Calamity also will make the enemy's final ability damage deal reduced by 10% up to 50%, which means you make them damage taken increase, you make them deal lesser damage as well. But this thing won't work on boss, so you cannot abuse this Calamity on bosses. Then for the Resonance here is pretty straightforward as well, which is R2, you gain a bonus turn. You cast S3, then you go into S1, which is a good thing to have, but isn't something mandatory to go for. Then for R4, when Calamity expires, Chuya dispel all the buff from the target and inflict a petrification for 1 turn, cannot be resisted. This is something similar to Tricky, but instead of any kind of dispel, it only applies to Calamity's expired. But we have no idea if this Calamity cleanse. If we cleanse the Calamity, does that count or not? We have no idea for that part yet, because we haven't have a R4 to actually test it. Then for R6, it's very interesting. So each time when an enemy is inflicted with debuff or their debuff duration extends, so there's 2 conditions. It's either you get debuff or your debuff get extend, it also counts. Your attack reduced by 3% up to 45%, and this thing is permanent and cannot be resisted. Which means this kind of become a passive attack reduce. And not just that, in PvP content, why I say PvP content is because shield usually will only apply in PvP content unless you see them in PvE. Your shield strength received also reduced up to 90%. So imagine your Lien shield is going to give you a very thick shield, but with this thing apply, if he managed to deploy enough debuff, your Lien shield actually just left a little bit there. So the R6 is very interesting. It could be used for PvE as well. We have to test this if this affect to the boss. Then the R4 here is for PvP. R2 here is for universal. It's something good to have. But in my opinion, from what we have tested, R0 is actually enough from him. Nothing much to actually test on him because it's pretty straightforward. The more testing is actually when he grow until global server. Then we are going to test him on the boss content and the PvP content, but it's not suitable to test from what we have here. But let me show you a live stream clip that I did about the damage testing. Okay, so this is the live recording part we did for the damage output testing. So this one here, we can see that they have all the debuff, right? Calamity debuff, 1 debuff, Seer and Defend Down. So let me show you my notes. Okay, so we can see here the note 5995 is standard dealing damage to this guy here when there's no defense break. But when there's defense break, which is the 60% defense break apply, then the damage is going up to 12k damage, right? Then if we include Seer 25% damage, it's increased another 3000 damage, so it's a total of 1500 damage. 15k damage. And if we apply the Calamity debuff from Wu Yu, if there's 3 debuff, it's 30%, it's 3611, then it's a total of 18k damage. And if there's 4 debuff, which increase another 4800 damage, so it will be 19k damage. But it seems like the Calamity stat debuff is a bit more special because it considered as the final ability damage. Maybe they separate it with Seer, so the final outcome is actually 22k damage. So if we look at here, Sender damage deals to 22k damage, right? So it becomes this damage here with 4 stack of Calamity. So maximum you can go up to 5 Calamity stack based on the debuff you have, but it deals a lot more damage because it jumps from 15k damage if you just apply Seer and Defend Break, which is the maximum we can actually go without the Calamity buff, which is the Seer and Defend Break. But if we manage to apply the Calamity debuff here, you can pump your attack from 15k damage to 22k damage, which is another 7k damage extra bonus, which is very good, and especially this is just some small number testing. Right, if you manage to make because this is PTR, if you use it at global server and global server have like a lot more damage, then you can actually multiply the damage with even higher. So the Calamity buff actually benefits a lot to the DPS output, but this thing cannot apply to the bosses here. Yeah, so that's the first look in Chu Yao's kit. Because it's pretty straightforward, there's nothing much testing we're able to do other than the DPS output here. So if we want to see the final form of how is he performance, we have to wait until the global server. We're using our own equipment gear and we will test him in all the Sentinel Hunt and the PvP with our own equipment gear, because he needs to... his kit isn't that complicated, nothing much else to actually test for. We need to wait until global server. But meanwhile, we will see, I will post a lot more about Tijiang, this girl's video here, Wu Yu, yeah. We'll post more about her video first because her kit is pretty interesting and not straightforward, so there's a lot more showcase is available to show you guys as well. Alright, so feel free to comment down how do you think about Tai, Chu Yao, design wise or the skill kit wise. Feel free to comment anything else. Oh, one thing, I think I forgot to mention this. So the Spirit Aegis here, the assist, right, this ability here cannot activate by Relief set, Avatara set, assist as well. So you need to cast this S1 manually by yourself. You can only, and then you can only let the Spirit Aegis unit do an assist attack. So if you build him with Release set or Avatara set, it won't trigger this Spirit Aegis. I don't know is this intention or not, or maybe it's a bug, but for now, from what we have tested, Assist, Relief, and Avatara won't trigger this Spirit Aegis to let them perform an assist attack. Maybe it's a balance for that part, but not sure about it yet. Alright, so hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Special thanks for the direct support on the YouTube membership. So for the benefactor of Artiar, which is Jen MP, Rosas15, Molkut Rajali, thank you so much for the support, and special thanks to Merlin Williams for the highest tips giver in my live stream. Thank you so much for the support, and for the supporter and patron of Artiar, which is Louis Schneider, Agni, Gem Mai, Code Wilderness, Wang Tamer, Rimu, Choni, Ziggy, Kamaruki, Sunwaltz, Racketus, Cult Worshipper, Von Hexa, and Luxley. Thank you so much for the support, and special thanks for everyone who have been supporting me for 1 month streak, and Louis Schneider and Agni for the 3-month streak of support. It really helps a lot for my channel, and hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.